Hey, welcome to another Backyard Professor Chess video. I've got another Paul Morphy game to show you. This is a fun game for a couple of really interesting reasons. He's playing his uncle, I believe it's his uncle, Alonzo Morphy. It was in 1847. It's when Paul was 10 years old. And most of his playing was with his family members up to this point. This game is memorable. I want to point some things out that we all can learn from just a 10-year-old, right? Don't count youth out. I had an 11-year-old trounce me in a chess tournament years ago, and it was really ego busting, Yeah, I'm going to try hard to get over that. I know that 11-year-old now is playing some seriously good chess right now. I suspect he could be the next Idaho State champion, or at least someday. So it was the King's Gambit. Paul is white. He brings up bishop c4. His uncle immediately, I'm going to call it Alonzo. Anyway, black. I'll call it black. I've got to study up on my history of the Morphy family, right? Queen check. The little 10-year-old moves his king out of check. Yeah, the king's in check, right? Move it out of check. That's, yeah, that's not a move I would have done, I'll put it that way. And now here it comes. Here comes the crossfire. How do you deal with a crossfire? Straight into the center. Pow. Yes. Very nice. Moves the bishop back. Bring up the knight with tempo, hitting the queen. The queen comes back to here, but the better position for the queen would be at f6. Don't you agree? That would have been a better position. But that's not where he moved it. He put it to here. So we're at this point, and he brings up his other knight. Look at the center of Paul. This is instructive, man. He just builds a fort, bam, right there in the center, doesn't he? That is incredible. Now he went c6. And the problem is, with this, is he's going to lose the pawn. Knight h5 would have been a better move for the moment to save the pawn, because the pawn's going to fall down. Look at that central fortress, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And black has a 1, a 2, a 3, and the queen is in front of the king. You gotta be careful with that. I'm just saying, you gotta be careful with that. Well, he hits him in the center. That's true. Now here, Morphy took the pawn, which beautifully opens up the file, and the queen is in front of the king. You gotta be careful here. Well, he did castle. Whew. Whew. Okay, we can all breathe easier. Then he pushes the pawn. Now this is a 10-year-old, right? Never count the youth out, man. Well, the best square at this point is definitely Queen 8. He's taking him all the way back with his pawn thrust. He's just going right up the center. That is incredible. Now, again, we can learn from a 10-year-old. Put your rook on open files, dude. I'm telling you, it works. And if your opponent does that, don't let him just have it if you can help it. Right? That's too powerful. So, yeah, fight for the file. Truly, fight for the file. Now, Paul was astute enough in his ever-blooming youth to realize the rooks are going to be exchanged. There's no point in him exchanging the rooks. So what's a better move at this point? Watch what he does. This is good. This is really good. Knight G5. Notice Black's knight is keeping his own f-pawn in check. Is he tempting the h6 push to begin creating weaknesses, or is he getting ready for a really interesting combination move? Tactics. Pay attention to where the pieces are going. Right? Now, true, the knight is protecting this one for the moment. But pay attention to the tactics. Rather than worrying about the rooks, that's a foregone conclusion. Give yourself a future potential really sweet attack. That's nice. I just wanted to point that out to you. This is a 10-year-old playing like a grandmaster, man. Okay, well, the rook takes the rook, of course. Check. And the king will take the rook, of course. No more check. And the queen will come to e8. Wrong answer, check again. And this time, and actually, the king bumps up here to d2, but rather than being so hasty and giving so many checks, this could have truly been considered. Really? Seriously? That could have been more constructive because of the area that the pieces are beginning to concentrate on. It might have been a good idea to stop that instead of giving superficial checks that actually do nothing for your game, which is what happened. So, I mean, that was probably more useful, because now Paul just simply dodges up to d2 and Black can't do any checks anymore. So it really didn't amount to much, right? Now the bishop comes to e6. However, the problem here is now Paul can pin the bishop to the queen. Now, the tactic with a pin is, if you're going to pin a piece, then attack it and you can get it. And look at this position. Not only does he pin the queen, or the bishop, I mean, to the queen, he's got a wickedly interesting pawn right here, doesn't he? The bishop is being attacked. And in point of fact, the bishop is really being attacked. You beginning to see the picture here? Black didn't quite play that right. And he pays for it too. Now, he brings in his knight. And the knight is how Paul took the bishop. Very interesting how he did that. And of course, the f-pawn will now take the knight. And we're beginning to see the effects of having that knight move up here, huh? Because now things are getting a little bit loose. And what he does next is really interesting. He takes the pawn with the rook. which is better than taking it with the bishop. Now here is where black resigned. But let's look at this. If you're not going to save the queen is gone, because once you move the rook, you're in check. So if you moved your king toward the queen to avoid the discovered check, you would lose your queen. The rook would just take the queen, right? So the only other thing you can do is concede that you blew it and try to save yourself this way. And then, of course, the bishop is going to take the queen, check. And so the king has to move out of check. And, of course, the bishop is going to take the knight, because you're ahead on material swap down. Yeah. And, of course, the knight is going to take the bishop, right? And now you've got a real interesting move of putting the queen right to there. And so you're looking at a back rank checkmate threat, except this rook's covering it at this point. So I guess the best thing you could hope for to do is that, and then you've got the pawn push, so you're going to lose your knight, or are you? You either lose your knight or you go into a submissive passive rook block, in which case then you could hit the knight again, and you're going to disrupt the king side some more, which is really interesting. What would you do as black at this point? Yeah, you could take the pawn. Yeah, you could. You could take the pawn. Take the pawn and support the knight. That's not too bad. Anyway, as you can see, it's a rough game for black. What if you did this? Yeah, because you're going to want to take that knight now, and black's going to know it. You see why you're going to want to take the knight, so that you can bump the queen up there to e8 and force a new queen, and you'll get your rook. So anyway, that's for a 10-year-old. That was a pretty good game. He's fun to play through. I've got a collection of 60 of his games that really, I mean, he was sparkling from the time he started recording his games. So there's a fun little game with some very interesting little tactics. I'm having a fun Saturday playing chess, studying lots of games, finding good ones for you guys. So in the meantime, enjoy this game too. My other chess video is uploading. Once it's uploaded, I'll upload this one. I'm giving you guys a feast, and I'm having more fun than I can shake a stick at. So happy chessercising. Be good, be happy, do well, be politically correct. After all, America runs on political correctness, right? Hey, you better be careful. You might get more videos tomorrow, too. You never know. I have a feeling I'm going to watch a good movie tonight. All right. See you guys soon.